change gears. We'll let Doug Fernandes comment on it as well. Doug, a super columnist for the Herald Tribune, and has been here for many, many years, and great friend of the program, great friend of ours. And Doug, great to have you back with us. And what do you think about these exhibition games that they like to call whatever they call them?
Well, I mean, when I used to cover the Bucs way back when, they used to play 6 exhibition games a year, preseason. And it was like a mini season itself. And then they went down to 4, and now they have the current. Listen, you need and they practice all the time. They practice every day. But you need to face games against other teams where you really can judge what you have on your team. You know, it's one thing to have your guys go against your own guys, but that's no judge of a player's talent on whether he can play in this league. You really need to have him go against somebody else, actual game conditions, and see how he acquits himself. So, you'd have to have some preseason games. The thing is, you know, when a fan buys a season ticket package, he has to pay for those preseason games, even though he probably doesn't really want them, you know, but that's factored in. That jacks up the price. And I know a lot of people just give away their preseason tickets because they don't bother. You know, they're going to go see every game at home during the season, so they don't want to go see a preseason game where, you know, the starters are out by the second series, and you have a bunch of guys who won't make the team anyway play. But you really do need 1 or 2 games to really gauge what you have. Practices, even when they practice against other teams, like the Patriots practiced against the Eagles last week for 2 or 3 days, and it was like a game situation, but they were practicing. You really need a game situation. I don't like exhibition games, and that name, the NFL does not like that name, exhibition, because it denotes that they're not really trying out there. It's just an exhibition of football. It's not the real thing. But, I mean, the real season is upon us, and my Patriots are going to be one of the worst teams in football.
Roger?
Okay, they're rebuilding. Yeah, let me, Doug, I love that point because we feel that way about the exhibition games. And but I wonder, because I don't know the answer. Maybe you do, Don or Frank knows. The Eagles game in Brazil against the Packers is a home game for the Eagles. And I'm just wondering whether the fans had to pay for 8 home games or 7 home games because of that game. And I don't know, but I've wondered about this, and I don't know if any of you know.
I don't have a clue, Doug.
That's a good point, because the Patriots played last year over in London, and I don't know whether it was a home. They played the Dolphins. I don't know who the designated home team was, but you're right. I mean, if you're going to pay for a package of games, and one of them is over in London, you're not going to go over there. I can't believe that would be factored into the price. I can't believe that you have to pay for a game you have no intention of going to. But I never really considered that.
We'll have to, during the course of the week, we'll have to find out. Roger, we'll have to call somebody and find out. I never even thought about it, to be honest with you. But actually, Charles, I'm not going to go to Brazil to see the Eagles play. That's for sure.
No.
I would tie it in to go Carnival, right? The big festival down there. Go see a game, and then go dance in the streets for 5 days. I kind of like that idea.
Right. That's good.
Well, Doug, your first evaluation of the Patriots was not very good, very succinct and quick. But how do you see things? Pick a division and go, and tell me what you think.
Well, I think you're going to pick the Dolphins. The Dolphins have, and the Bills will be there. The Dolphins have emerged as the strongest team in that division. The Patriots held that honor for 20 years. I didn't think the Patriots would fall off this quickly. I knew they wouldn't have the success. No one has, no one will, that they had with Brady and Belichick for 20 years. You will never, ever see that, especially in free agency, because they were able to keep a lot of those guys together for some of those runs. But I don't think Belichick did not draft well. You could just tell. He spent a 4th-round pick on a kicker that they just cut today, and they're going to keep a kicker that they got off the waiver wire. So that's a 4th-round draft pick that he wasted on a kicker that won't benefit the team. And he had too many of those picks when he was a general manager. He's a hell of a coach, but as a general manager, I think he's questionable. And a lot of his picks didn't pan out. So what you have is a team that went from Super Bowl contender every year to now one that they're picking to win 3 games. I didn't think they'd fall off this quickly. I thought they'd be like maybe 500, a mediocre team. I didn't think they'd go into the tank like this. And if you saw the game against Washington, their offensive line was dysfunctional. I've never heard a referee do this. They had the Patriots had 3. Their left tackle was so scared of getting beat by the defensive end on the rush that he was back like 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, and you can't do that. He was flagged 3 times for the same penalty, and by the 3rd time, the referee said, "Once again." I've never heard a referee say, "Once again," like another penalty on the same guy, you know. But they were going to maybe start Drake May, their number 1 draft pick, but they can't. They cannot start him behind that line. It will be a Jim Plunkett situation all over again. He'll get sacked 50 times, and, he may hurt himself. That's why they're going to start Brissett, who, was drafted by the Patriots, has been around, and they're going to let him take the punishment because this offensive line, it's miserable. It really is scary to watch them play against Washington a couple nights ago.
Let me throw another one out. Roger, we'll go to you first, and then we'll get Doug's comment. I read the Post every day, and most of us all do. But, the Jets, Rodgers hasn't done anything. I mean, he hasn't even taken a snap. 39 years old. Last year, unfortunately, he got hurt after 4 plays. But I can't understand how they're all saying that he's going to step right in and he's going to be the Rodgers that we saw playing in Green Bay. I can't see how this is going to happen. Roger?
Well, we'll know in about a week and a half, okay, whether it's true or false. But, Doug, just to get back to the Patriots, when the offensive line, I was always a Mac Jones fan. And I think that if he had a good line or a fair or better than fair line, I think he wouldn't take in that punishment because I really think he's better than he showed with New England. And that's just my opinion. I hope that he has a good career. But I'll tell you, we'll know about Rodgers pretty quick.
Well,
what do you think, Doug?
He's weird. He's a weird dude. I mean,
yeah,
the way he acts, what he says. But listen, when he tore his Achilles last year, I remember he was talking about coming back that same season. I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to come back from an Achilles in the same season. But listen, if he's healthy and he still has, it doesn't have to be the mobility he had 10, 15 years ago, but he's still clearly the best quarterback on the Jets roster. And those Jet fans up there, they go, calling for a Super Bowl. It has to be with Rodgers as a quarterback if they're going to do anything. I don't even know who the Jets have at quarterback. Who do they have at quarterback now? I don't even know. Who's the quarterback?
I don't know.
But behind Rodgers.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean,
I don't know who the backup quarterback is.
They got rid of what's his face, right? The what's his face? The guy they drafted. He's no longer there. They drafted Sam Darnell a couple of years ago. That didn't pan out. They've had enough bad draft picks with quarterbacks that there's no wonder they've been floundering for years. But if Rodgers is healthy, I like him.
They rival Chicago in drafting quarterbacks and not having any luck with them. But we talked about the Buccaneers and also the Falcons a great deal in the first half hour. Rodgers in Atlanta, he gets to see Falcons live. But give me your ideas, Doug. Fernandes, what do you think about the South? You like the Falcons or do you like the Buccaneers?
Well, I don't know. You got to go with the Buccaneers, right? I mean, they re-signed Mayfield. They've had a successful draft the last couple of drafts. They're a good team. Are they Brady good? No, of course not. Brady came there and he won a Super Bowl and then he retired. But this team will contend. The thing about the South Division is it always seems like every season another team sort of leaps up and takes forward, right? Grabs the mantle. The Bucs, the Saints. I mean, listen. The Falcons have Raheem Morris, the ex-Bucs coach. He's now their head coach. The Falcons bypassed Bill Belichick to bring in Raheem Morris, and I covered the Bucs when Raheem was there, and he didn't really have good control of that Bucs team. He tried to be too friendly with the players, like one of the players. he's probably learned that you can't be that way. You have to be the head coach, and they're the players. But I'm not ready to anoint them the king of the South. I mean, Raheem, I don't know. I mean, when they didn't take Belichick and hired Raheem Morris, I mean, I went, whoa. I don't know. But then I found out that Kraft did not give him a good recommendation at all, which, if you're wondering about the relationship between Bill Belichick and Bob Kraft, that should tell you everything, that he was going for a job and basically Kraft torpedoed him, did not give him a good recommendation at all. And that's why he didn't get the Atlanta job. So, but you notice how Belichick is on 5 different shows now. The guy who would never talk to the media is now on 5 different shows, and he's Mr. Football. He's everywhere now, you know? I mean, the guy never spoke. Now you can't shut him up, you know?
Yeah, but you know why, Doug? He's got a 24-year-old girlfriend now that he travels with. This is a different Bill Belichick now.
No, he's going to save his energy then. He can't be doing all these TV shows. You know?
No, well, you guys never mentioned the Saints. I mean, the Saints have they dropped right out of the picture. You see no hope for the Saints.
Well, like I said, every year a new team takes the lead in that division. Like, listen, when the Patriots were in the AFC East, it was the Patriots every year. Patriots. In the NFC South, every team has their year, right? And next year another team comes up. So it very well could be the Saints. Who's their quarterback? Who's the quarterback for the Saints?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel bad. These guys change. I mean, it used to be Jameis Winston, you know, and obviously it was Drew Brees. I don't know who the heck the quarterback is at New Orleans now. I don't know. Why, you like
Winston, as Roy says, Winston's pretty much relegated now to being a backup quarterback because he didn't take the chance when he was a free agent then this year, and all he did was sign to be a backup quarterback. So everybody pretty much assumes that Winston had such high grades and such high marks, he was going to be a big factor in the National Football League, but he hasn't been. And he hasn't been with any team he's been with. He's been a backup, and now he's signed as a free agent and backup again. So I don't expect great things from Winston, no.
Well, the thing is, when he was with the Bucs, he'd make a good play and then make 2 bonehead ones. And then when you looked at the stats at the end of the year, he had almost as many interceptions as he did touchdowns. You know, he wasn't very careful with the ball. And if you're not careful with the ball as a quarterback, you won't have a job. You won't have work. Exactly.
And that's what happened to him. Well, Roger, let's switch over to baseball now because Doug wants to tell us about those Red Sox and how they're going to make a serious drive the last month of the season to get into the playoffs. Roger, how do you see the American League East?
No, go ahead, Doug. Go ahead. You want to go first with that?
No. I mean, they're doing the same thing they did last year, where they overachieved for 3/4 of the year, and in the last part of the year they just collapse and they end up at 500 or below. And I think we're seeing that right now. Listen, they're not the Red Sox they were of a few years ago, where they spent millions and millions of dollars. They operate on the cheap now. They look for players that have been cut by other teams that have 5 ERAs and are batting .220. And I can't believe the Red Sox have resorted to becoming, Tampa Bay Rays North, which is what they have become. They're trying to operate on the same sort of budget and the same mindset. But, the Rays wrote the book on that. And, they brought in Bloom, who was the general manager of the Rays. They brought him in, and he was gone after 3 years. I mean, a lot of the guys he signed didn't pan out. You look at their rotation now. I mean, the guys who are number 1 starters would be number 5 starters on the team a few years ago. And they're just piecemeal. They hire guys that I never heard of. It really is sad that one of the oldest teams in baseball, and let's face it, that's a marquee name. It's always better for baseball when the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers are doing well, when they're playing well. It's always better for baseball because they're one of the stewards of the league. But the Red Sox are, and the thing is, they're not going to change anytime soon. This is their philosophy. They're going to try to, get guys here or there, develop the farm system, but they're not going to sound like guys like Chris Sale anymore. And one more thing, guys. The worst trade in history. They traded one time Sparky Lyle for a guy named Danny Cater, right? Danny Cater was a first baseman they picked up. Sparky Lyle ended up winning the Cy Young for the Yankees. And it's a very similar trade. They traded Chris Sale, who's going to win the Cy Young in the NL this year, and they traded him for a guy, Marquise Grissom, who's down in the minor leagues. I mean, he's okay to play, but the Red Sox say you're not good enough to play. And they traded, a potential Cy Young winner for this guy. So a lot of the trades haven't worked out either for that team. So it's very sad. Very sad.
Just to throw this in before Roger comes out, I think Danny Cater was the guy that reached in and had his had his either right or left hand wrist broken on a play at first base where it was close and the runner ran right over Cater. I'm almost sure he was the one that was playing first base that got his wrist broken.
Yeah. I mean, he was the guy who the Red Sox had. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead, Doug.
No, I was just going to say, Danny Cater, they had just traded George Scott to Milwaukee, and they needed a first baseman. So if you look at this guy, Danny Cater, and, he didn't do. He was there 1 year, then they got rid of him.
Roger? Well, and Sparky Lyle, I remember a number of years ago after he retired, he was a manager of a team that was in Camden, New Jersey, in that independent league, which is now the Rutgers Camden field, and I'm thinking Sparky Lyle, a manager in this independent league with his credentials, I would have thought that he would have gotten something, at least in the minors or the majors. And I don't know whether he ever did after that or not, but you're right. I mean, Sparky Lyle won that for the Yankees. There was no doubt about it.
It was him and Goose Gossage. He was the righty and Sparky Lyle was the lefty. And they were a tremendous combination. But the game of the week, I'm going to switch gears, guys. High school football started down here. The team down here that everybody follows is Venice High School, which is south of Sarasota. They are playing Miami Northwestern, who has a new head coach this year. Teddy Bridgewater, the NFL quarterback, retired, and he became a high school head coach of his alma mater. He retired, immediately became a high school head coach. So he'll be on the sidelines for Miami Northwestern. But, what is a guy? I mean, you're a pro quarterback. You've had a 13-year career, and then suddenly you want to go coach your high school alma mater. I like that, but that's kind of weird too.
You know who did that, Doug? Was Phillip Rivers when he retired. He went down. Where is it? Mississippi or Louisiana? And he went down to this Catholic high school where I guess he played, and he was the head coach right away. And at the middle school that I sub at here outside in Cumming, Georgia, there's two guys that had played in the NFL that are assistant coaches. One is Sean Bailey, who played at Georgia, and I forget the other gentleman, but he had a number of years in the NFL, and he's on the middle school coaching staff because their kids are there. I think I give them a lot of credit. I talked to Sean last week. I've had his son in class, and we had a really nice talk. And I told him, I said, I have the utmost respect for you guys that take the time out because they're not making any money in a middle school as an assistant coach, let me tell you.
No, we had
the other thing, I saw
ago.
Chaminade, Doug, I saw Chaminade play last Saturday night against John Bosco. Was on New York TV. And it's part of that the high school tournament that I think they're playing in Atlanta. If I remember, there was a big A in the middle of the field. I didn't have the sound on, so I couldn't tell where the ballpark was they were playing in. But they have I didn't know that. I knew John Bosco was John Bosco, not Don Bosco. John Bosco was pretty good, and St. Joseph, Philadelphia is in this thing too. They play. I don't know what week they're going to play, but you're right. I mean, some of these high school football games. The game I saw last Saturday night between those two teams was better than a lot of the games I see on major league players.
Oh well, I mean, the high school football down here, the lack of aggression in today's society. Let's face it, right? Everybody's a huggy kissy, not old school. When you watch high school football now, the kids don't know how to tackle. They can't teach tackling like they used to. Those Oklahoma drills, where you fight through the block and then you take on the runner. They don't do that
Right.
anymore. They don't do any sort of tackling, any physicality. So when they come play a game, they don't know how to tackle. And that's why you see guys just grabbing at jerseys. They're not form tackling. They're not putting the shoulder in there. All they're doing is grabbing at a jersey, or they grab at the helmet. And that's why you see so many face mask penalties now in high school football, because they don't want to tackle. Either they don't know how, or they don't want to because it hurts.
Doug, they roll block. They don't tackle. They roll block. That's what they do. And the penalties, there were 5 penalties in 5 consecutive series in this Bosco game last Saturday night. Exactly what you're talking about. They either grabbed the helmet, or they had some other illegal procedure penalty. 5 straight possessions. And you're right. I mean, you don't tackle anymore, and it carries in. Look at the college game. They don't tackle there either. They roll block. That's what they do.
Yeah. The pros
they think that they could just run and just knock these guys over. Like the force of them will knock them over, like a bowling pin. But the thing is, these guys are strong. So if you do that, the guy is gone if he doesn't fall over, right? You're not wrapping up. All you're doing is running into him, trying to knock him down. And if he doesn't, he's gone. And you see that all the time. And what also you see in the high school level is this. These guys don't want to hit, but when they get out of bounds, then they do something illegal. And I'm like, why aren't you hitting them in the field of play? Why do you wait until he gets out of bounds and then give him a shot? What are you doing that for? Do it while it's legal. And they get a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, late hit penalty. I see it all the time.
Hey, you don't only see it in high school. You see it in the pros, too. I mean, they do the same thing every now and then. They take somebody out of bounds, and then they want to push them into the bench or do something crazy. Roger, you're up.
Well, yeah, you're right. I'll tell you, that was the one thing. Last night I saw the first half of the middle school game, between the rivals, Hendricks and Vickery. And that was the one thing that I picked up on, Doug, in that the first half that I saw. Hendricks did a great job of tackling. They really did. And I picked up on that, and I'm thinking, you don't see it. You don't see it at any level, like we're saying. But I did see it last night, which indicates to me that the 2 guys that I talked about that played in the NFL and were around for a while, they knew how to tackle. I mean, Sean Bailey played at Georgia, and that was the old day, I guess, with Mark Rick, before Kirby. And I was impressed. The kids did a really good job of tackling. They weren't afraid to go and hit somebody. And, so hopefully let's hope that there is hope. That's all I can say about that.
When I played football, I'm 62 years old. I mean, you could clothesline a guy and get away with it, right? You could do all kinds of things to a guy, and you could play football as it was meant to be played. But you see it with the physicality and the violence, quote unquote, being taken out a little bit every year. Well, in 10 years, we'll be playing flag football. That's what it's coming to. It'll be flag football. There won't be any contact whatsoever.
Let's hold on. Let's leave it right there. We got our next guest standing by, but one quick comment because you cover our basketball announcer from start to finish. Just a quick update on his health, because I know you write columns about it all the time. Give us a quick update on his health.
My health?
Vitale, I'm talking about.
Well, Vitale is he got finished radiation again. It's something he's going to have to be on top of, going forward. And, he has the best doctors, Mass General. He has to stay on top of this cancer he's had, because it comes back in his throat, and then they have to radiate it again. But here's the thing, bottom line. I don't think you're going to hear Dick Vitale on the air anymore. His voice just is not coming back like it used to. He hoped that this procedure would give him a voice loud enough to be on TV. But when you talk to him, he's still almost barely above a whisper. So, unfortunately, I don't think you'll see Dick Vitale behind a mic anytime soon.
Well, Doug, thanks very much for this segment. It's always great, and thanks for an update on Dick Vitale. And I'll try to get a hold of him and just say hello, and hopefully he just keeps getting the radiation and improves. Thanks a lot for being with us. We'll catch you on the next run.
Always fun, guys. Okay.
Always
Thanks,
good
guys.
to talk to you.